Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about what we do with our ficus bonsai here at the nursery. This is something that we typically do every year, sometimes twice a year. This is how we get the ficuses refined, how we get the leaves smaller, how we get internodes tighter. This particular ficus is a Ficus microcarpa. This tree has been wired twice. The wires have been off for about 6 months, and we've trimmed it out periodically every couple months just to keep it compact and keep getting back budding. Right now we are going to defoliate this and give it its wiring for the year. The only reason why I would defoliate this is because the leaves are getting large, it's vigorous, it's healthy, and it's summer here. We are in the end of August right now, which is really almost too late to do this. We like to do this when it's hot, when it's active growing, but I wanted to get one done under video, and this was one of the last ones, and this is one of my favorite ficuses in the nursery. Just to give you a little history on this, this was bought from a collection from a friend of mine who in turn sold me his collection 6 years ago. This tree was 4.5 feet tall, but it had this really nice base. I cut it down to 2 branches and built everything that you see from those 2 branches over the last 4 years. It's only had 2 wirings. First couple years I didn't wire it, but now it's due for its 3rd wiring. You can see the wire marks on there, however they're filling in pretty nicely. In another year or 2 you won't even see those wire marks. With ficuses I like to let the wires dig in a little bit, and I know a lot of people are like, take the wires off before it digs in. With ficuses, if you don't let the wires dig in a little bit, what happens is the branches just straighten right back up. You almost have to have them dig in just a little bit, about 10 to 15%, so the branches will set. I don't let them dig in so bad that they start to encase the wire. At that point it can ruin. When you take the wires off, you can girdle the branches. It's very dangerous. But 10 to 15% just starting to dig in, it tells you that the branch is growing a lot of new wood and it'll set. Even though it'll set, the new growth is going to continue to bring that branch up. So you may have to periodically bring that branch down repeatedly before it'll finally set. And again, all the new growth is going to have to be wired again, so it's a non-stop, never-ending process. So what I'm going to do right now is defoliate this, and I'm going to also cut back a lot of the long straight sections to closer bifurcations to where it's closer into the trunk, because some of these are redundant. They just continue on, and you have some ramification, but then you have some more ramification that just continues on. I'm going to bring that back in, chase it back in to get it a little bit more compact. So I'm going to get started now. Okay, so we spent the last 20 or 30 minutes defoliating, cutting the leaves off at the peduncle, or frankly pulling some of them, because if I cut every peduncle I'd be here for probably triple the time. So for video's sake I did it pretty quick. I also cut back a lot of the shoots that were a little long and too strong. Our whole focus doing this is to equalize the strength of the tree from the top to the bottom. The top was a lot stronger, so we cut a lot of the branches back a little harder. Some of the growth that was growing out a little stronger was headed back to 2s. Anywhere where there was 3 or 4 or 5 branches coming from one location, we cut them back to 2s. Like this is a great example. Right here we had a big long shoot and 4 coming in the same location. I cut it back to 2s. It's just something that you have to do with maintenance on any tree. That way, as it continues to heal, it doesn't create reverse taper in that junction. The next thing I'm going to do is take this and bring each one of these into their own little plane of existence. I'm not going to make a flat pad per se. I'm going to make multiple layers to create a crown. Trees have crowns, not flat planes. So I want to have multiple planes to create this lovely round crown. Also, when I apply the wire, I want to make sure that I don't put the wire in the grooves if there's any wire marks, which just has real minor wire marks still. When you do defoliate, as I said, always make sure that the tree is strong. If it's been repotted, maybe make sure that you don't repot the same year that you defoliate the tree. If it's weak, just repot it and then wait the following year. Like if it was a maple or something that's a little bit more sensitive. Ficuses, on the other hand, are extremely tough. They take a licking and keep on ticking. They grow like crazy. This guy was repotted last year. It's like a brick in there this year. So I will probably wire him up top to bottom, and then I'll repot him as well. Put him in a slightly different container. I like the container, the new one, to be just a little bit longer, maybe the same depth, but just a little bit longer with not an inner lip like this, because it's such an aggressive rooter, it's really difficult to take this out of the pot every year, because it becomes, you have to come in here with a blade and cut along the edge in order to do it. So next I'm going to come in here and wire this up from bottom to top. Okay, so we've got the whole thing wired. If you notice, I've wired it a little loose, specifically because it's has wire marks, and I want to leave the wire on long enough for it to thicken up and set. I have not positioned the branches yet. I've just wired it, but I wanted to kind of go over what I'm doing with this tree. I'm going to try to keep each branch into its own little place in the sun. A lot of these are going to be, maybe I add a little bit more movement, but every one of these is going to get their own little place in the sun, and I'm going to put them up to where we ideally want more movement the further out they go. We've applied wire on just about every single branch, just about every tertiary branch and subtertiary branch. The really fine subtertiary branches we didn't bother to wire if they're already in the right position. What you can see is every little branch has been put into an area to where there's plenty of room for sub-tertiary branches to pop, because we really need to have a more dense canopy. Defoliating this is going to let the sunlight back into all of these little twigs, and because it's in the summer, because it's very well fertilized, it's going to pop all along the links of those branches. So at this point, what I want is for it to not get much larger, but more ramified in the approximate same size that it is now. As you can see, the top is very thin. We need to get a lot of secondary branches put up top. We also need to get a lot of secondary and tertiary branches built up on a lot of this, but it's a nice start. This tree is only has about 4 years of branch work done from a stump, so it's at this point probably another 2 years, and we could get a really nice dense crown on this. The next thing we're going to do is repot this, because this pot at this point is now not correct for this tree. I think really another inch out would be our show goal. So really it's at this point it's about 24 inches across. I'd like to see this at about 26 inches and in a maybe an 18-inch, no, I'm sorry, a 16-inch pot. Right now it's in a 12-inch. I'd like to see it in a slightly larger container. Maybe something about the same depth, but a little bit wider. Maybe a nice oval. I think will really kind of set this tree off. Thank you for watching. Sorry that I haven't been doing videos, but we certainly are tasked to send you a video on repotting this beauty into a more correct container, and we'll have more things to show you over the next few months. Thank you very much for watching.